We often tell students to make a good choice. And in some ways that's a fallacy because they can only make a good choice if the behavioral alternatives, the pro-social alternatives, become a part of their behavioral repertoire.
The important thing is that all emotions are okay. And even though all emotions are okay, we need to teach kids that all behavior is not. And we're ultimately teaching kids that behavior has consequence. And not only negative consequence, but positive consequences to behavior. Aggression replacement training is a comprehensive multimodal intervention for aggressive youth. It has three components. The first, skill streaming, is a behavioral component which teaches kids what to do. The second component, anger control training, is the emotional component which teaches kids what not to do. The third component, moral reasoning training, is the values component. This teaches kids why to use the skills learned in skill streaming and anger control.
In this segment, Ellen McGinnis demonstrates the skill streaming training steps, from defining the skill through assigning homework.
Skill streaming is the behavioral component of aggression replacement training. And there are 9 specific steps that a teacher or a group leader follows in implementing skill streaming. And they're based on 4 components: modeling, role-playing, feedback, and transfer of training. The first step that a teacher or trainer would begin with is to define the skill. And this helps students understand the specific skill steps and the specific skill that they're going to learn. Give me some examples of the skills you do in school. What things do you learn? Watson?
Good study habits. And yeah.
Study skills, that's a great skill to learn. What about another skill?
How to interact with people.
All right, that's the type of skill we're going to work on today, which is how to get along, how to interact with other people. And one of the things we want to do when we interact with other people is also to stay out of trouble and still get our needs met. So those are 2 goals that we have in interacting with others. What we'll do is, when you learn any skill, Watson, when you learn your study skills, when you learn to interact with other people, when you learn any skill, what do you do first to learn that skill? What's the very first thing that you have to do? James?
Watch.
Watch. You have to look. You have to see how that skill is performed. So you have to watch. Very good. What's the next thing you do? What's the next step? Maggie?
You try it out. You have to practice it.
Great. You practice it. You try it yourself. Then, after you try it out once, twice, how do you know if you're doing it as well as you should be doing it or as you could be doing it? Chris?
You could show somebody who does know what they're doing and see they could compare and tell you what you're doing, good or bad.
Great. And we call that feedback. We get feedback on how well you perform that skill. And then after you get the feedback, you can perfect your skill, right? And then you need to practice it, just like with your study skills or your softball or any skill that you learn. So what we're going to do today is we're going to work on one specific skill, and I'm going to show you what that skill is. It's dealing with an accusation. Have any of you ever been accused of doing something by somebody? All right, raise your hand if you've been accused of doing something. Okay. Sometimes you might have done it, and sometimes maybe you didn't do it. How does it feel to be accused of something?
You feel violated, kind of, because they're saying that you did something, but it really wasn't you.
Offended? You'd feel attacked.
So those are all feelings that you have when you're accused. The anger, feeling offended, feeling violated, feeling defensive. All right, good. What we want to do then is to deal with an accusation without having those negative feelings and without getting into more trouble. Sometimes you might have when someone accuses you, it might be that you did do it. Is that correct? Has that happened to you? Mm-hmm. Sometimes you have done it. And sometimes you haven't. right, let's look at the steps. Just like with any skill, there are certain steps we go through to learn that skill. So let's look at the chart. Dealing with an accusation. What's the first step?
Think about what the other person has accused you of.
That's the first step. Very good. Think about what the other person has accused you of. Is their accusation, is there basis for their accusation? Or is it untrue? Is it unfounded? The second step, we need to think about why the person might have accused you. Is there some reason that they think that you did this? And think about what that reason is. And also with that, try to think about how that person might feel. And that might soften our response. The third step, think about ways to answer the person's accusation. How are we going to respond to that person? You need to give yourself a little time to think about how you're going to deal with that accusation. Why is that important? Think about ways to respond, to take time to think. Vanna?
Self-conflict before it begins.
The second step then is to actually model the skill and the skill steps for the student so that they can see how the skill is performed. Usually the trainer or co-trainer develop a modeling display in front of the group and then draw attention to the specific steps that are modeled. Our other group leader, Mark, is going to join us for this, and we're going to model the skill of dealing with an accusation. So we're going to show you the skill steps to dealing with an accusation. And the first thing, I want you to watch and see if I think about what the other person has accused me of, then see if I think about why Mark might have accused me of that. And then the third step, if I think about ways I can answer his accusation. And then the fourth step, if I make a decision on how I'm going to do that and I do it. All right? Hi, Mark. How you doing?
Okay, Ellen, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Say, someone said you wanted to talk to me.
Yeah, I did. Mr. Newman said that I cheated on a test, and I saw you talking to him and wonder why you said something to him.
Mark just accused me of telling Mr. Newman that he cheated on a test. I know probably why he thinks I did, because I was talking to Mr. Newman, but I was just asking about an assignment, and I have told on people before, so that might be why he thinks that. But I didn't do it. I was just asking about the assignment, so I'm going to just tell him the truth. Mark, I know you're upset, and I know you think that I told Mr. Newman, but I was just asking Mr. Newman about an assignment, and I did not tell him that you cheated.
Okay, but I'm still going to talk to Mr. Newman because I wasn't cheating on the test, so.
Okay. Well, I know how upset you are, and I hope you believe me because I didn't do it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mark. What did you think? Did I follow the first step?
Yes.
Did I follow all of the steps to dealing with an accusation when Mark accused me?
Yeah.
Yes.
How did you think I did?
Pretty well.
Good. Did you think I was sincere?
Yeah.
All right. Good. All right. After we watch someone do the skill, then you get an opportunity to try it out yourself. The next step is to establish skill need. And in the group, you'll ask students to come up with situations where they need the skill in their current life. What's real life need for them? It's not so much what happened in the past, but what's likely to happen in the future, because we want them to have the opportunity to use that skill in their future life. When in your own life, in your real life, is it difficult for you to deal with an accusation? When have you been accused of doing something, and you may have done it or you may not have? When is it difficult for you? What we're going to do now is come up with a situation for each of you when it is difficult for you to handle an accusation. Chris, would you like to start?
I've been accused of stealing from a store.
All right. What else? Watson?
One time, one of my teachers accused me of plagiarizing a research paper.
The next step is to role play. And every student in the group will get an opportunity to role play. So it's a matter of just asking who wants to go first. Set up the role play, assign roles to each of the observers in the role play, assign them to watch for specific skill steps that they will then give feedback as far as how well that skill is performed. All right, who would like to go first? Who would like to role play first? Maggie, great. Come on up. All right, Maggie, when is the time when you were accused of doing something? Can you tell us, give us just a little bit of information?
I had a friend one time accuse me of bringing pot to school.
Okay, and that's something the friend does accuse you of? Okay.
Well, not always,
but
it did happen one time. I think that
Okay.
was like the worst, most offensive thing.
all right. Is that likely to happen to you in the future, that this friend accuses you of different things?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Who in the group reminds you most of the person who accuses you? What's her name again?
Her name was Tessa.
Tessa? All right. Who in the group reminds you most of Tessa?
I have to say Andrea reminds me a lot of
All
Tessa.
right. Andrea, would you be willing to be the co-actor?
Yeah.
Great. All right, give us a little information about the situation. Where are you? In the hallway at school or at home? Where are you?
In the hallway between classes, probably.
Okay, great. Now, what we're going to do is I need you to play the role. Andrea, I need you to play the role of Tessa and accuse Maggie of having pot in her locker, right? And then Maggie, I need you to follow the steps and think out loud what you would normally think silently so we know what you're thinking, all right?
All right.
And then I have a job for each of you to do as well, and I'm going to pass out the skill cards. I have the steps of the skill on the cards, and if you would just pass those down, please. Rick, would you watch and see if Maggie follows the first step, if she thinks about what the other person has accused her of?
Yeah.
Thank you. And Vanna and James, would you watch and see if Maggie follows the second step, if she thinks about why the person might have accused her?
Yeah.
And Watson, would you think of the third step, if Maggie thinks about ways to answer the person's accusation?
Sure.
And Chris, would you watch and see if she chooses the best way to do it?
Sure.
Thank you. All right, Andrea, is there any other information you need from Maggie to know how to make the accusation, or do you feel pretty comfortable with what to say?
No, I'm fine.
Great. Okay. Let's go ahead and start the role play. And Maggie, feel free to look at the chart for the specific steps.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Andrea, I understand that you have accused me of having pot in my locker.
Yeah, I came to school this morning and I heard we had a locker search and you got caught with marijuana in your locker.
Okay. So now I have to think about what the other people have accused me of. They've accused me of having pot in my locker, which is a pretty big deal considering marijuana is illegal, and I'll probably get kicked out of school if I'm caught with it. All right, so I have to think about why Andrea might have accused me. Well, she and I did have a fight about a week and a half ago that we never really worked out. Maybe it had something to do with that. The best way to answer her question. I could tell her that I don't use drugs. She should know that I don't use drugs. We're good friends, and that's enough of an excuse to say, you know, she should know me better than that. I guess that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to tell her that we're good friends, and she should know me better than to use drugs, let alone bring them to school. You should know me better than that, Andrea. We've been good friends for a really long time, and I would never use drugs, let alone bring them to school.
Well, I guess it was because, yeah, you're right. I did get mad and I just heard some things, but I don't think they were talking about you.
Well, that's good, because you would know me better than that.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's okay.
Great. Good job. And the seventh step to skill streaming is feedback. Feedback comes first of all from the co-actor, and the co-actor will discuss how he or she felt with the response from the main actor. Then we also ask the group participants to give feedback regarding specific steps that are followed, whether or not the student followed that step, and if they did, how they knew that that step was followed. And the group leader then goes last to give the feedback to the main actor. The feedback needs to be positive whenever possible. At the very least, it should be, the comments should reflect that the student made a good try, made a good effort at that skill, and constructive suggestions on how to improve. All right, stay up here for just a minute. Andrea, how did it feel when Maggie said to you that she didn't do it? When she followed the steps, when she dealt with your accusation? How did it feel? Did you believe her?
Yeah, I believed her only because it was just something I heard. I wasn't sure if it was true or not.
All right.
And I've known her more than just to believe that she does do drugs, so.
Okay, great. Good. All right, and did Maggie follow the first step? Rick, you were watching for that step.
Yeah, I think she went into really good detail on all that. She told everything she had to.
All right. And James and Vanna, how did she do on step 2? Did she follow step 2?
Yeah, she did.
And what was the reason, she thought? What were some possibilities?
Well, they had, previous to this time, they had an argument before. That was one reason she came up with.
All right, good, great.
She was pretty good about, they knew they were friends, so she was pretty clear about how they may have came about and that how she should know that she wouldn't use nothing like that.
Great. And the third step, did she think about ways to answer the person's accusation? Watson, did she do that?
Yeah, she knew that they were friends. They knew.
And Maggie, how did it feel to do that, to follow the steps?
It felt, it's so much less stressful if you do it that way. I just hope I'd be able to apply it in a real situation.
Okay, great. Well, we'll work on that. You did a good job. And do you feel ready to try it in real life?
Sure.
Great. We'll plan out a homework assignment for you then. Great. Good job. Thank you. The 8th step is a very important part also, and it's the transfer of training or the homework, the generalization part of skill streaming. And we do know that skill streaming works. It does change behavior, but we also know that it does not create lasting change unless specific steps are taken to enhance the generalization and maintenance of that skill, and homework is one way to do that. We had a great group today, and each of you had an opportunity to role play and receive feedback on how well you did on the skill, and hopefully some helpful suggestions. Now, I have homework assignments for each of you, and each of you identified situations where the skill could be used in your real life, and so we've done the homework assignments before. So you'll plan out the situation, and when we meet again on Friday, at the end of this week, bring your homework assignments and how well you did on the skill as you tried it in your real life. And we'll talk about it then. All right?
In this session, Eva Feindler leads a group through anger control training, focusing on the emotion of anger, the hassle log, the role of external and internal triggers, the cues for anger, and anger reducers.
When children are angry, we typically say, stop, do not be angry. And but it's a naturally occurring emotion, and it occurs, many times and in many contexts. And the objectives of anger management training with kids are several. And the first would be to help teach kids about the emotion of anger, about its different variations in terms of intensity and frequency, and the experience of anger, both internally for them in terms of their physiological, their body reactions, as well as their thoughts and their cognitive reactions. And then there's the external anger reaction, which oftentimes we see either in aggressive behavior, whether it's verbal aggression or nonverbal aggression, but sometimes also in withdrawal or suppression of anger. So we teach kids first about what anger is about.
Okay, we're going to start today by talking about anger, the emotion of anger. So if I put this up on the board, it's an emotion. What comes to your mind right away? What other words come to mind? Just throw some out.
Rage.
Rage, okay. We'll start with rage. Somebody said something else?
Animosity.
Good word, okay. How about something else? I think, Chris, you were talking earlier about irritation?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, irritation. Okay, so what we see is that anger is an emotion that has a lot of different variations in it. And it varies according to intensity. Which words would you say are low intensity or low level anger? Yeah.
Irritation.
Irritation. So sort of on this end maybe, frustration, irritation, annoyance. And that's the kind of stuff that happens just about every day. Did anybody get frustrated or annoyed yet today? Yeah.
Dad kept on coming in trying to wake me up. I just, every 5 minutes, coming, wake up, wake up, wake up. It's just leave me alone. I'll get up.
Okay, so even though you were sort of partially sleeping, you still had enough presence of mind to get annoyed, irritated. Now, I imagine none of you felt rage, animosity, or hate this morning, because that's not something that we feel very often. That's a high-intensity part of anger, but it's what we call a low frequency. It's rare.
Interestingly, one of the pieces of feedback I always get from children and adolescents after doing anger management is a sense that they're surprised that I'm saying to them that their anger is okay. I think most adults in their lives have told them that it's not okay to be angry. You must stop being angry, or no, you don't mean it if you are angry. So they are very empowered by that the emotion of anger is acceptable. And then to understand the shift to then, so how do I express it appropriately? What are the things that I can do when I'm angry?
We're going to talk about the 3 components of anger, and we're going to talk about what you can do with your body, with your head, and with your behavior to help you control your anger. Now, what I also want to say is, what do you think about feeling angry? Is it okay to be angry? Yeah, John.
When you're, like, with your friends or something and they did something wrong, you shouldn't get angry at them.
When a person wants to be angry or choose to be angry, that it's all right all the time, whenever they feel. But as long as they don't take that anger out of proportion or any further.
There's a difference between being angry and acting out on it. And I think that anger's healthy. I think it's important, actually.
That's exactly how I think about it also, is that the emotion of anger is perfectly legitimate to feel. Everybody feels it. I feel it, you all feel it, your parents feel it. It's a normal part of just living in today's world, is feeling angry. The big issue is more, what do you do with it? And I think that you made the point, Chris, it's about if you take it out on other people or act it out, then that's not okay. And actually that's about the behavior part. What do you do when you're angry? If you keep it in, if you think it through, if you work it out, if you learn to express it in the correct way, that can be healthy. So that, going back to what you said, John, you said something about might not be okay to be angry when you're with your friends. I think it's okay to be angry with your friends as long as you communicate it to them and not act it out or take it out on them. And really, the problem is really about being aggressive, being violent, being mean, being hateful. That's the part that we have trouble with, and that hurts other people, and that creates negative consequences. Being angry is an emotion that you're going to experience, so that's the okay part.
One of the ways that I generate role plays, if the kids are reluctant to share their own experiences or can't come up with anything, is by the use of a hassle log. And I give kids instructions to complete hassle logs, which are really just checklists of a interpersonal provocation. They complete some items about what happened to them during the week. The hassle logs then serve as mini role play scenarios. So I'm never caught really trying to generate role plays, because as I collect the hassle logs in each session, I've got 6 or 7 real hassles that happened in their lives that particular week to try to role play out. And actually that builds in an incentive for kids to complete the hassle log, because they want their hassle to be the one that was role played.
I'm going to hand you out a little diary format. It's called a hassle log. Carlos, maybe you can just hand them out to everybody there. And I want you to take a look at this. It's a little, what we call a self-monitoring sheet or a diary sheet. And basically it's kind of like a checklist. And it asks you to check off sort of the day, the time, where were you? And I want you to keep your eyes open this week for a hassle. Somebody that annoys you, a situation that gets you aggravated. And when that happens, you just fill this out. Okay? So it says, who was the other person? It might be a parent, it might be a sibling, a friend, a teacher. And what did they do? What was the trigger? What did they do to you to make you start getting aggravated with them? And then, how did you respond? What did you do back? Because what happens is the sequence. You know, we're someplace, and then somebody triggers us, and then we respond. And the last 2 lines of the hassle log ask you to evaluate how angry you were, And also how you think you handled yourself. That's what we call a self-reflection or a self-critique. How did you do with your anger? Does anybody have any questions about this? You can fill out 1 if you only have 1 hassle in a week. You could fill out 3 if you get hassled 3 times in a week.
We start off by teaching kids to identify triggers. What are their triggers? What are the buttons that get pushed for them and get their juices going, start to make them feel angry? What do they need to do then? And recognizing your anger is certainly the first step. Then stopping yourself, controlling the impulsive defensive reaction back to the provocation or the provoker, and taking a moment, taking a deep breath, calming that physiological reaction, and then think about implementing another plan, another response.
Now what I want to switch to is what I call triggers. Triggers of anger. Trigger is kind of like something that's on a gun, is a trigger. And I also think that we have, like, you ever hear the expression somebody pushes your buttons? You know, so it's almost like you got buttons on you and somebody goes up and pushes them. And I want to know from each of you, what is an example of a trigger for your anger or your frustration or your annoyance?
With me, a lot of times, like with teachers and stuff, I mean, they just don't, like, I mean, condescending, talking down to you.
About boyfriends and yourself that may affect your relationship with your boyfriend.
Troublemakers?
What do you mean, troublemakers?
Like, it always seems in the world that when you go up, it's always somebody that's trying to pull you back down for no reason. And then, like, when you're walking down the street or you're playing basketball at the basketball court, there's always somebody that wants to try to pick on you or try to pick with you.
If, like, someone goes in my room and, like, start messing with my personal things that I have that I don't want nobody touching.
So we've talked about a lot of triggers. We've talked about triggers that are people that say things or do things to us that create anger. We've talked about situations, like trying to achieve a goal or trying to get ahead or get a job or win something, and you can't. That would provoke anger. And then some of you talked about things inside of yourself that would just make you angry or frustrated. So we've got a number of different kinds of triggers that trigger your anger. And one of the first steps in anger management or learning to control your anger is understanding the triggers, knowing when you're angry and what made you angry.
I teach children as well as adolescents how to respond differently internally, which is how to change their thinking around from notions of blame, feeling blamed, feeling that people are provoking them intentionally to try to get them angry, to beginning to view things somewhat differently. That there are other reasons why they might be feeling angry or why the person said what they said. Maybe that person's having a bad day.
How about this situation? Let's say a teacher makes an accusation towards you. Let's say I'm your teacher, Watson, and I say to you, because you mentioned this earlier, is that I think you cheated on the test. And the reason why you got a 97 was because I saw you looking at your buddy's paper, and I think you were cheating. And I'm going to have to dock you 20 points. Now, if I'm the teacher and I'm making that accusation, what are your thoughts? Don't tell me what you would say or do, but tell me what your thoughts are.
I'd feel definitely very personally offended that my teacher would make that kind of accusation against me. I mean, I'd be angry about it. I mean, something like that has happened to me before, so.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't cheat. So, I can definitely relate to that, and there'd definitely I'd be more offended than anything else.
Okay, what do offended thoughts sound like in your head? How about like this? She's got to be kidding.
Yeah.
This is totally unfair. She's out of her mind.
Yeah, I start if if my teacher would do something, I would start to think that they would have maybe some kind of vendetta against me for some reason.
She's always trying to get at me.
Yeah.
She never liked me to begin with. She's always picking on me. She makes
Exactly.
accusations towards me.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, of course, in response, you're going to start to say to yourself, and I can't stand her. And that generates your anger. So lots of times angry thoughts are about what we call personal injustice or things that aren't fair. Any of you say that to yourself? This isn't fair? Now what I want to do now is I want to talk a little bit more about the emotion of anger and ask you all a question about how do you know when you're angry? How do you know when you begin to feel angry? Yeah, Chris.
You get tense.
Okay. What does tense mean, though?
To get tense is where your muscles or your bones start to lock together.
Tense is usually something you feel in your body. Did you ever see people like they're clench their jaws and you could just sense that their tension is building? So it's usually a body reaction. Okay, that's one thing that makes you know that you're angry. What else happens to you that makes you know that you're starting to get angry? Like what clues are given off inside of you that let you know that you're starting to get angry? Think about your mom or dad or somebody in your life. How do you know when they're getting angry? What do you see in one of your parents, for example, or one of your siblings that lets you know they're getting angry? Ken?
Because their face might start to get red or their stance might start to look threatening.
Red face. So you ever hear the expression like boiling mad? Okay, that's sometimes you feel like the redness comes up, face gets red. That's another part of the body that changes. And then you also said something else.
Body stance.
Body stance, okay. Can you stand up for a minute and show me an angry body stance? Okay, so maybe a stare down or a glare kind of thing. Also, you can tell when people are angry when they, and I'm going to use you for a minute. I'm going to be angry with you. When they stand right over them like this and get real close up, that's oftentimes part of being angry also. Okay, it's not a calm way of talking to people. It's an angry and aggressive way. What are some behaviors that indicate to you that people are getting angry or are starting to feel angry? Chris?
They might like be violent, like not even physically violent towards a person, but just like slam doors or throw things or something like that.
Okay, so you begin to see aggressive behavior, slamming doors, slamming books down, perhaps kicking a piece of furniture type thing.
I was just going to say that, like, a lot of times, you know, they could give you, like, the cold shoulder.
Oh, that's a great answer.
Just ignore you and just, like, don't even acknowledge your presence.
Right. Some people, when they get angry, act out, and they get aggressive, and they get threatening and mean. Other people withdraw. They get very stone silent, quiet. Do you know the difference between that? I remember when I was a kid, which was a very long time ago, when my dad was angry with my sister or I, he just wouldn't speak to us. And we knew he was really mad, but he never said a word. Other parents are yellers. So there are different ways that people express anger. So that's really good. The opposite of acting it out is holding it in. Okay, so we've got a bunch of different ways that people know that they're angry. The body changes, the head changes, your thinking changes, and your behavior changes. There are three parts to anger. A physiological part, which is how your body changes. A cognitive part, which is how your thoughts go south. They go into that attitude place. And then your behavior changes. Does that make sense to everybody?
Just about in every group session that I would run, I would have several kids and maybe even more role play and enact a scenario. And when the anger control training, we have them enact a scenario in which their anger was provoked. And then I will stop it and I will ask for some feedback from the group members as well as from the 2 or 3 students that might be role playing.
I'll do it with you.
All right.
Okay, why don't you two guys come up here in front of our group. And just don't start yet because I want to give the rest of you guys something to watch. I want you to watch for. Okay, I want you to watch for what is the trigger of Chris's anger. How do you know Chris is getting angry? What are you seeing him do? And then we're going to talk about why do you think he's getting angry after the role play, and we'll see what he actually does. Okay? Take it away, guys.
You got that $20 you owe me?
$20? Are you kidding? What do I owe you $20 from?
Like 3 days ago. I lent you the money to buy that basketball you wanted to get.
What? No, you didn't, dude.
I did too.
I gave that to you.
When?
Don't you remember the other day? I gave it back to you.
I do not remember that. You did not give me the money back.
Yeah, I did, dude. What would I lie? Why would I lie? Why
I need the money.
Okay, let me stop you for a minute there. Now, let me ask the rest of the group a couple questions. You guys just stay here for a minute. Who's angry in this?
Chris.
And how do you know Chris was angry?
His body language.
What did it look like to you?
He was invading.
He was like, his face was starting to get red because he was like yelling, like kind of.
Okay, what other suggestions can we make for these two guys to solve this problem? Because the way they were going before, it wasn't going to be solved. Ken, you have an idea about a way to solve it.
Maybe if they go see a school counselor and work it out with.
He could have not gotten in his face and accused him of that he did that. He could have maybe just asked him.
Maybe he could actually admit that maybe he forgot, or can sit there and recap the actual events.
Let's ask the role players what they could have done differently. Well, because the way you're going now, being angry, you getting defensive, is not going to solve it. The group has given you some suggestions. What do you think?
Body language was really important. I mean, I was up and I was telling him I need the money.
I think, again, just pretty much like what they said. Like, as soon as he approached me about it, I was like instantly defensive to him and not open.
Let's see if we can do the role play a take two. Try to run through it again using the suggestions that you both just made and also using the suggestions that the group members made. Okay?
Do you have the money you owe me? Do you the $20 I lent you?
Oh, I didn't pay that? I didn't give you that?
If kids can understand that they need to quickly take a time out of themselves, kick back for a moment, take a deep breath, then they have a beat or two in which to implement a newly learned response, whether it's to talk it out, whether it's to try to use problem solving or negotiation, some of the other skills. But unless that emotional response is controlled, then all of the other skills that they might have or might be taught, more effective social skills or problem solving skills, can't be implemented because they're already on a roll of expressing their anger. So it's very critical that they learn about that freezing, that moment in time, and taking a beat and taking a deep breath.
We're just about done for today. What I'd like to do is just kind of summarize what we learned here today about anger management. And I'd like to ask you all to give me an idea of what you remember, what you learned today. How about you, Vanna?
Triggers.
What triggers your anger? What are the provocations for your anger? And you all got the hassle log that you're going to fill out this next week to note your triggers. Good. What else have you learned? Chris?
There's a lot of different types of anger.
A lot of different variations of anger in terms of intensity we talked about and differences in terms of frequency. Okay. David?
Different ways to approach people.
What exactly did you learn was a different way?
Like going up to a person and also not like just attacking them and, like going at them and stuff like that. You just have to get the whole side of the story because you might be wrong yourself.
Good. So not making accusations.
It is critical. Any new skill that we teach, whether it's a cognitive skill or a behavioral skill, practice is what makes perfect. So giving kids assignments, having them create role plays, doing role plays over and over, giving them suggestions to carry through on the week would be very, very important. Practice is what they all need.
Mark Amendola and Robert Oliver conduct a moral reasoning training session with a group they've been meeting with regularly. They demonstrate the 4 training phases, from reviewing the problem situation through consolidating mature morality. Group members' responses to the problem situation may be recorded on a chalkboard during the session if desired.
The moral reasoning component is the values component of aggression replacement training. It was developed by the pioneering work of Lawrence Kohlberg and assisted by John Gibbs of Ohio State University. Its goals are to increase the moral development stages of the trainees and to also help kids understand how do we interact with the world with issues of fairness and justice.
Morning, everybody. Welcome to our group. It's good to see everybody. Everybody has done your homework. We gave you the scenario we're going to be going over last week, and I trust that all of you have read that. Yes? Yes? Okay.
So procedures to the group initiate with reviewing ground rules of the group. How should everyone participate in the group? We then review the problem statement. It's a dilemma discussion that all kids would have reviewed prior to attending the group so that we know their answers.
Tom works at the counter of a local McDonald's. Bob is a friend who frequently hangs out with a group of friends at the restaurant. One day when Bob goes to order a meal, he asks Tom not to charge him for his food. Bob tells Tom the manager is on a break, so he'll never find out. Tom has been working on weekends and after school for the last 18 months, mainly to pay for his car insurance.
The third step is to make sure that the situation applies to everyday life. Does this happen to them? If it has happened, how have they responded in this situation? Is that a real scenario? Is that something that you guys think would happen to you? Yes?
Has it ever happened to you?
Yeah.
Could someone give us an example of that? If you think about something that has happened to you?
Vanna, you said it did happen. Give us an example.
When I was working at a fast food restaurant, a friend of mine had came in and asked if they can get some free food, and it was only a burger, so I didn't mind giving it up. So I just gave her a burger and let her go.
Okay, so that is a real scenario. That is something that really has happened. Okay, all right. Denise, then, would you read the first question?
Should Tom refuse Bob or should he accommodate Bob?
And then as we begin the group, we always solicit responses from mature members first.
We should see the three responses: should refuse, should accommodate, and he can't decide. Which would you do, Denise?
I would have to say that he should refuse. It's not his place to give up the food of the company. The company has put in money and time, and they've hired people to put together materials and food to provide for people that people actually pay for, even if it is one burger. So,
Sarah, you look like you disagree with that.
I mean, it's not like he's asking for like an extra value meal supersized, you know? I mean, it doesn't cost that much. It's like, what, 79 cents? I mean,
I'm not sure because half the time they do throw away the food anyways, but you get paid to make it, so why would you give it to somebody else if you're getting paid for it?
So you're not sure whether it's wrong or not? Okay. Okay. Vanna, what do you think?
I had to serve him because it's just 79 cents. What else is going? It's just going to go to waste. So you might as well give it to someone that's going to use it at least.
So just because it was 79 cents and only 79 cents is okay to give it away?
Yeah, it should be because it's only 79 cents. So there should be like a limit or something. Like if it's below $5 or something, it shouldn't be worth anything.
Okay. Well,
so we're kind of putting a price on stealing.
I don't think because it's just. $5, I think, is a big limit. It's a lot of money, but like $1 or $2 is nothing to me.
$1's not.
No.
So as long as it's under $5, it's okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
well, what if someone stole a VCR and you knew it was stolen and they were your friend and they gave it to you? Would that be okay? Isn't that kind of the same thing?
I didn't steal it, they stole it.
So that's what you think about it, though.
Mm-hmm.
Maggie, what do you think about both scenarios we've described so far?
Well, I really don't think that there's a big problem with, giving somebody a free hamburger. I mean, I totally agree with you guys. It's worth, practically nothing. It costs probably 5 cents to the company to make, and they're just ripping you off by, upping the price by a lot. It's just all about profit and stuff. I don't know about the VCR, I mean, you didn't steal it, but knowing that it's stolen property, but I think there's a big difference between a VCR and a hamburger, obviously.
Okay, so now we're putting a limit on what is okay to steal and what is not okay to steal. Is that what you're saying? Okay. Chris, you want to go ahead and read the second question?
Sure. Was it right for Bob to put Tom on the spot?
What do you think?
Well, it depends on how, it depends on how Tom feels. Because, being his friend, he shouldn't mind something like that, but it's also the fact that it's Tom's job, because if the manager found that out, he'd get in trouble. I don't know. It's confusing. It depends. I think it was probably a bad idea for Bob to do that because he's Tom's friend and he shouldn't do that to him.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Denise, what do you think about that?
Being a friend, he shouldn't have put him in a situation where he had to choose between his job and his friend. He had to do the right thing, and his friend shouldn't have put him on the spot and forced him to choose. So.
Okay. Rick, what do you think?
I think we're talking about something pretty minimal here. It's, it's 79 cents. I really don't see what all the fuss is about.
But was it okay for him to put his friend on the spot, though?
It might have been a little inconvenient, but the way Denise is talking about it, I mean, she's saying, like, it's the difference between his job and, it's life and death. I just don't buy it.
Okay, James, would you read the third question, please?
What if Tom feels other workers do the same for their friends?
Well, what do you think about that, James?
I can't decide on whether. I don't know. I can't.
You're kind of in the middle right now?
Yeah, I mean, it can go both ways. You know what I mean? Maybe Tom really does feel that workers can, do the same to their friends, but he's not sure. He's not exact on what he's thinking or what he feels like. So I don't know. I can't decide.
Maggie, what do you think about that? What if Tom feels other workers do the same for their friends?
Then, it should be all right. Like, if he's going to get in trouble for it with his manager, then so should everybody else. So I really don't see the problem in it. If everyone else is doing it, then why shouldn't he be able to?
Okay.
After we've gotten the answer from all the participants, we then ask them for the reasons for their answers. We want to understand why it is they're responding the way that they do. We then attempt to create empathy so that kids can understand how should they or would they respond if that situation happened to them. Sarah, would you read question number 4?
What if you were the manager where Tom is working? Now what should you do?
So does this change it at all, Sarah, that now you're in charge, you're the manager? What should Tom do?
Well, if I'm the manager, I'm not going to get in trouble. I mean, it's my company, or not my company, but my branch of the store. And, like, I don't know, if I'm giving my workers free food, I don't see why. I don't know. I guess it depends how much it is. I mean, I'm not going to be like, oh, sure, everybody, like, everybody in the store can have something, but I guess if they don't make, like, a big production out of it and, like, it's not all the time, I don't know.
Let's change the scenario a little bit, that it has become a problem. There's a lot of food missing in your end of the month inventory, and you've been told to control the problem. Does that change the scenario a little bit and change the way you're thinking?
Well, then, yeah. I mean, if I'm going to get in trouble for something that I'm not even doing, then I'm going to put a stop to it. I mean, like, if it's a habit, I'm going to be like, I'm going to actually put my foot down and be like, all right, you can't do this anymore. But
I totally disagree with Sarah. I think that we should always put ourselves in other people's shoes.
Why do you always go to her for the first response or any response or response to any question? I mean, I was under the impression this was a group session.
Maggie, I appreciate what you're saying, but remember the group rule, one person speaks at a time, and you're absolutely right. We'll make sure that we start asking other people their opinion first, okay?
Thanks.
Yeah, for the record, I'd also like to agree with her.
yeah, me too.
And,
I agree with Denise. I mean, what she said is right, is the fact that if you're a different person, it's a different situation entirely. You see things from different perspectives, and it changes what's right and what's wrong. Because for Tom, it might have been okay to give the hamburger away, but if the company is losing money and the manager has to suffer because of it, then that's a problem.
So we're getting to the point of this dilemma, which is stealing, whether it's 79 cents or $79? And James, what do you think? Are there degrees of honesty? Are there degrees of stealing?
I wouldn't say so much as there is degrees, but there is what ifs. What if, like, your friend comes down the street after a long, hard day of basketball or sports or something like that, and he tells you that he doesn't have any money, and you're really good friends, been friends for a long time, and maybe he's hungry or something like that. I mean, it wouldn't be so wrong as in just to give him a piece of a hamburger or something like that, or anything, French fries or something, It's different situations, different times, it's not so much as stealing. I wouldn't penalize nobody for that, But I wouldn't do it as often either,
So again, James, we're back to there are degrees. Your friend's hungry, he doesn't have any money, you give him a hamburger. Wouldn't it make it more honest if your friend agreed to pay for the hamburger later?
Yeah, it would, but I don't think people will hold on to that.
Okay, let's break this down, though. The hamburger's not yours, right?
Right.
Who's it belong to?
The company.
Company, and you're giving the company's food away.
Right.
So is it stealing or not stealing?
But I'm part of that company.
Then are we saying that it depends on the situation? That whether we're honest or not depends on what the situation is? Andrew, what do you think about that?
Well, I really don't know, but, well, maybe, yeah, no, it doesn't depend on the situation because no matter what, stealing is stealing, so I guess it really doesn't matter.
Okay, good. Maggie, would you read question number 7?
How important is it to be honest when you work?
Now, Maggie, I know you work. How important is it for you to be honest at work?
Well, it's actually really important because my mom is the manager at the place where I work. And our company actually lets us eat for free, like everybody there. So I kind of feel inclined not to give food away because I'd be ripping off my mom, actually, so.
And this is great because we go into situational again. If it wasn't your mom, you might think differently.
Probably.
But we're coming up with example after example now of saying situationally where we'll say honesty is the best policy, but sometimes it's not. And do you see anything wrong with that?
I guess, I mean, it probably should just be a general thing, but I don't know, it's just hard because, you know, other people hook you up and you want to help them out when you can.
So other people give you free food when you need it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not stealing.
Well, not if they're just giving it to you.
They're taking something that's not theirs to give. That's not stealing.
I don't know. I just really, I think it depends.
Okay.
Okay, Maggie, thanks. Vanna, how about you? How important do you think it is to be honest at work?
I think honesty is pretty important because I wouldn't want to lose my job over something that wasn't really worth it or anything.
Why?
Because it's more personal thing. It hits me. It's more closer to home.
And you want to make sure you kept your job?
Yeah, basically, I don't want to lose my job. Like I said, I don't want to lose a job over something that's stupid.
Okay. Rick, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think the honesty is a pretty good policy in general. If you're speaking about, being, having a job and all that. Yeah, because, there's a lot of repercussions that can come from something, like stealing.
Such as?
I don't know. I've never worked at McDonald's exactly, but, I play out, in a band. And, if we were playing, say, some big concert, we're opening up for an act. And we use some of their equipment. If we haul off with that in our van, they aren't exactly going to be too quick to ask us back.
So it could have some economic remedy.
You're just making a bad name for yourself when you do something like that.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Rick. Chris, would you read question number 8?
Sure. How much of a friend is Bob to Tom if he put him on the spot?
What do you think?
I don't know. I don't think that what Bob did was necessarily good, but I mean, it wasn't that big a deal. I mean, if I were Bob's friend, I wouldn't be offended that Bob would do that. It wouldn't bother me. But I understand if someone were to be offended by that. So, I don't know.
Because now we're talking about honesty and friendship.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about friends being honest with each other, right?
Yeah.
Sarah, go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking, Bob's not being a bad friend by asking that. I mean, he's not hurting the friendship, but if he gets offended when Tom turns him down, then he's not really a good friend anyway. I mean, he shouldn't ask Tom to risk his job to be a good friend. So, I think that's how that one works.
So it's not just about a 79-cent hamburger. I mean, it's really about honesty and friendship and our friends honest with each other.
Right. Like, I mean, if Bob knows that Tom's going to get in trouble, he really had no business asking. But if he didn't know that he'd get in trouble, I mean, like, it's one thing. Tom can just be like, look, man, I can't do that. And I think that should be the end of it.
And he should respect that.
Yeah. I mean, if he's a really good friend, that's what he's going to do.
Denise, you're shaking your head. Do you agree? You're agreeing with that?
Right. I definitely agree with Sarah on that point. I think being a good friend, he should respect Tom's decision and not wanting to lose his job. And even he could even resist asking him in the first place. So.
Okay. Thanks, Denise. Andrea, what do you think about that?
I agree with Denise and Sarah because friends, they shouldn't get mad.
Next, we try to reach a unanimous positive group decision. And if that's not possible, we try to reframe it for a positive situation for the entire group. And finally, we give kids homework, which would be the next dilemma discussion for the following week. They're required to read that, respond, and give it back to the trainers in preparation for the next group. So we started with a 79-cent hamburger at McDonald's. Are we generally agree that it really is a good policy to be honest with each other, and particularly with our friends, that we should respect each other, and that kind of honesty is the best policy? We generally agree to that, everybody? We agree with that? Okay, that's good.
Really good work this week, everybody. Don't forget we have group again next week at 11 o'clock. Some of you have other groups you need to get to this week. Make sure you're there and you're on time. I'm going to pass out your homework for next week. Let's make sure we read the scenario, circle your responses, and then make sure you turn it back in at either Mr. Amendola's or my office next week. Rick, you need to keep one in order to be able to complete the homework, okay? Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you next week.
You know, there are many theories on where does aggression come from. I mean, there's theories that there are innate drives. You know, there's theories that kids do this out of frustrations, which actually happen. But more importantly, it's a learned behavior. And in such, then, that is a learned behavior, it can be unlearned. And that's the importance of ART, because ART helps develop those competencies for kids and families.